I helped this real-life racing driver gain seconds per lap after fixing this simple but common braking mistake. The student was mind blown after realizing what he'd been doing wrong all along. Watch this free live coaching session to see if you're making the same mistakes too.
It's a green track, so I'm gonna
Totally.
don't wanna waste time turning around.
Yep.
It's this turn here that frustrates me because I can't throttle steer around it.
So the main problem I'm seeing here is your braking, and I think that's causing a lot of the inconsistencies with your driving, and especially you said going into the hairpin, that's your most challenging corner, and it's because you're not braking correctly, which is causing inconsistencies, and I could see how that easily frustrates you because you don't know why it's happening. So in racing, we have 3 tools for rotation. Do you want to guess what those 3 tools are?
Well, there's the steering wheel, there's the throttle. Well, the steering wheel brakes on throttle, right?
So no. The steering's correct. The braking is correct, and if we want to be more specific, it's trail braking that rotates the car. And the third one is actually engine braking. So you might have noticed that throttle isn't one of those. Throttle and really the whole exit of the corner should be the easiest point of the corner. The throttle is not rotating the car nearly as much as the 3 I spoke about, so trail braking, steering, and engine braking. So right now, coming into the hairpin, this is what your braking trace looks like. So more or less like that. So there's a couple problems here. First off is our initial brake. It's kind of not consistent in a way where we're not hitting peak pressure at the right point, and then
I don't understand why that is. I think I'm mashing the brake.
Yeah, so there's a difference in formula cars and GT cars. So in a formula car, more or less, that's what our braking trace would want to look like. So we're getting to a peak pressure nice and early. And then in a GT car, our brake trace is going to be a bit softer initially, still getting to peak pressure nice and early though, holding it and then trailing off. So it's essentially more of a half circle compressed on the sides rather than a right angle triangle like a formula braking would be. And that's because in a GT car, we don't have as much aero grip to rely on. We're relying more on mechanical grip. So our tires grip within the road is staying relatively the same throughout all of our braking trace. But in a formula car, you can smash the brakes super hard initially because we have so much aerodynamics when we're at a higher speed. But then as we start slowing down under braking, our aero efficiency reduces, hence why we have to start releasing the brake earlier and slightly faster as we get less and less grip as we slow down. So that's one of the problems with your braking. I would just have your initial brake be slightly softer, so you don't want to mash it right away, which leads me into another problem with your braking. So in a GT car like the Ferrari you're driving right now, it obviously has ABS, unlike the Cup car. And in an ABS car, it's really only there as, we'll call it, an emergency feature. Sometimes you can lean into the ABS just slightly, but overall, we don't really want to be getting into that ABS too much as our braking efficiency is going to be reduced a lot. So, like I was showing you earlier, your brake trace is all the way up to 100%. And what's happening there is in this zone right here, you're triggering ABS like to the moon, and it's not slowing down the car as much as it could because all the car is trying to do is not lock up the tires. So if I drew a line essentially like this, if this is our ABS limit, so at around 85% brake, let's say, everything above this line here, we're getting a reduction in braking efficiency. So what that means is you're getting over this line, your stopping power essentially in the car is going down, and then when you start trail braking in this zone here, that reduction in braking force from this point to this point is doing absolutely nothing because you're still in the ABS at that point. So your trail braking is not actually starting to work until this point. So that's making it kind of tough for you to gauge how much you're starting to let go of the pedal, because you're getting a similar feeling until you get under that ABS limit. And then another thing, going into ABS that much, you're abusing the front tires a lot. You're overusing their grip limit. So by the time you go to turn in, you have very minimal grip left on the front tires. So it's really hard to rotate the car mid-corner. So you can jump back into iRacing. And I want you to go into the options tab. So I want you to close your eyes right now and pretend you're going into the hairpin. And I want to know what your peak braking would be. So hit the brakes as you would in the hairpin with your eyes closed.
Okay.
And open your eyes. Keep your...
Oh, well, at least it wasn't 100%.
Oh, you actually went to 100% before you opened your eyes again.
Oh, okay.
So keep your eyes open this time. And just go slowly increase pressure on the pedal to about 80%, 85%. So I want you to remember what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a couple more reps in if you want. So you see there, you went to 100%.
Right.
Aha, so I see another problem here. You see on the left under the brakes tab in your options, the load cell brake pedal option is not clicked. And then the force factor was 1.04 as well. So it was a weird trace going up the pedal, and it could be accelerating the pedal at the end. So there you go. Understand and kind of get that in to your head. And
see, when I did this, I'm closing my eyes.
There you go. That's better.
What I think is 80%.
Perfect. So having that ticked definitely, or unticked, was a big factor, I'm sure, because it wasn't recognizing the pedal as a load cell. It thought it was just a potentiometer. So let's do it one more time. Come up to 80%. And then slowly come off like you're trail braking. Good. Understand what that feels like and try to replicate it now on the track. So just again, a quick review. I want you to not be hitting 100%. Don't trigger the ABS. We want to stick around 80 to 85% and never go above your initial peak pressure under braking. So we never want to be gaining pressure once we get to our peak. We just want to be trail braking from that point. And you're going to find your braking is much more consistent. And you're going to find now that you're not hitting 100% and not triggering the ABS, you might actually be able to brake later because you're going to have more braking efficiency.
Yeah, see, you're right.
Yeah, so the car was overslowing a ton there, so you're going to start to notice that you can now brake quite a bit later.
You know, that's funny because I got the sound turned up so I could hear.
There you go. See the difference?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. So again, focus on that braking.
Man, that's amazing.
That's what I like to hear.
I didn't think it would be that drastic. I can't even get used to it now. That was worth the $100.
All right, we'll stop there because I just want to give you one more piece before we run out of time here. So I'll get you to hop back in the pits again. With that being said, though, I just want to talk about one more thing to do with your braking. So have you heard of the string theory with trail braking.
No.
I don't know if that rings a bell. No, okay. Let's say we have our steering wheel here, and then let's say we have our brake pedal down here, and our throttle pedal down here.
I think I know what you're getting at now.
Exactly. So let's say we're coming into the hairpin at Hockenheim, the right-hand turn. We're gonna say we have a string attached to the left side of our steering wheel. So when the wheel is straight, our string is gonna be fairly loose. There's no tension on it, nothing like that. And we're going to hit the brake pedal nice and hard on our initial brake. When we depress the pedal, it's obviously, so our pedal is now gonna come down to here along the ground, and that's gonna tighten up the string nice and tight. So now it's got lots of tension on it. We can't turn the steering right now because of how much tension is on the left side of the wheel, but as we start trail braking and the pedal is coming more towards 0%, this string is going to start to get a little looser, which is now going to let us add some steering input. So what I'm trying to get at here is when you're hitting peak pressure, we can't be turning at peak pressure. That is way too much stress, again, on the front tires. And we're going over 100% of the available grip. And again, same as the technique we talked about earlier, you're gonna have reduced grip mid-corner when you're putting your maximum steering angle in. What this means is you're gonna hit your peak braking, and as you start rolling off, then you can start turning. You wanna make sure that those two things are in sync. So your initial trail brake, your initial drop of the brake should be timed with your initial steering input. Compared to right now, you're holding your peak pressure for super long and you're starting to turn at the same time. And then that's just gonna be generating understeer with the car because we're going over 100% of the available grip of the front tires. I'm starting to notice that you're adding too much steering angle mid-corner. You're going almost past 180 degrees in some cases, or close to it. And I understand your thought process behind that. You're trying to get more rotation mid-corner, but that's actually giving you lots of understeer, putting in that much steering angle. Because essentially the tires, again, they can't handle that much steering angle. They're just sort of sliding across the track. The surface of the tire is just overheating and they're sliding across the track. So my advice to you is if you're finding you're understeering, the worst thing you can do is add more steering angle. You're just inducing even more understeer. So with that being said, if we think back to our 3 tools of rotation, yes, one of them is steering, but there's obviously a limit to how much we can steer. And then there's trail braking and engine braking. So if you ever feel you need more rotation, I would focus more on the trail braking and engine braking portion. So trail braking more into the corner and downshifting faster and kind of binding up those rear tires in a rear-wheel drive car, of course, is going to give you more rotation rather than forcing more steering angle.